Number 15, being followed.
Seriously,
Not
stop.
Not in an aggressive way. I just want to.
I don't want to walk with you. I don't want to talk to you.
Oh,
Stop.
what's going on?
You either hand me your knife or I'm not talking to you.
Asian Andy is streaming as usual. This time he's with his friend Smeep, and the pair are walking down a street in Thailand at night, talking about getting massages, when a guy, another American, across the street flags them down. He asks them what they're doing, and when Andy says they're recording a vlog, the man says that he was just wandering because you don't see many people walking around with their selfie sticks out. Then this man keeps asking, what's the story? And Andy and Smeep don't really know what he's talking about, but they play along. He repeatedly asks, what's the deal? Again, what's the deal with him? The live streamers don't have a clue. Then he says, you take a left and right here. This seems to be code for something dark. It's clear that the two don't know what he's hinting at, but he says, you know where to go to find what you're looking for. The guy then suggests that they turn the camera off so he can talk to them. Andy pretends like he's shutting the camera off. Then the guy tells him to leave the camera behind, so he leaves it filming and sets it on something to go talk to the guy, but he's only gone for a moment because he doesn't want his gear to be stolen. Smeep goes to talk to the guy on his own instead, and Andy asks the audience what left and right means. Some guess substances, others guess the guy's a cop. Whatever is going on, everyone agrees it's sketchy. After a while of Smeep and the man just chatting on a street corner a short distance away, Andy says he'll be joining them with the camera, but is told by Smeep to go across the street and he'll meet him up there in a minute. But Smeep does not return in a minute. After 20 minutes, Andy calls Smeep over to go. Smeep shows up shirtless and says his jacket was stolen by another guy when he was talking to the sketchy man. The sketchy man says that Andy must have been behind it as a gag for the live stream. Then he proceeds to try and turn off the live stream. He grabs Andy for a while, touching him and apparently trying to take the camera away. He tells them to turn it off. Andy walks away for a bit, and when he returns, Smeep is telling the sketchy man to stop and saying that he doesn't want to walk with him or talk with him. Apparently, the sketchy man also has a knife. Smeep tells him he'll only talk with him if he hands it over. The man throws it on the ground. They then head into a darkened alleyway. Bad idea. The sketchy man takes their video camera from them and is demanding to know their YouTube name. The pair tell him they're not shooting on YouTube. They're shooting on Twitch. That's when the camera drops, and out of nowhere, the guy suddenly attacks. The screen goes black, but there's sounds of a struggle. Someone asks to be let go. Another asks if they're trying to hurt him. Somehow they manage to escape into a local shop, but they say the guy is right outside and aren't sure what to do. Although they survive to stream again, things sure get dicey on Thailand Twitch streams at night. Number 14, robbed.
Am I talking to you?
Nah. Now you're talking to me though. Now you're talking to me. Now you're talking to me. Out of here.
Take that out.
Broke Malone is sitting in a bar live streaming. When he starts to use text-to-speech, the guys sitting across from him seem to have a problem with it. So what does Broke Malone do? He starts talking to these guys, and things get out of hand fast. Soon they're all up on their feet, the camera goes sideways, and they end up outside the bar, yelling nonsense at each other. Broke Malone keeps repeating 1v1, meaning 1 versus 1, without interference, but when they continue to come after him, he takes off running down the street because there are a bunch of them and only one of him. They try chasing him down a couple times, but he seems to be ahead. But at some point, a brawl breaks out. The camera is thrown to the ground. A girl manages to pick up the phone, and she asks whose phone it is. Someone takes it from her and puts it in a grate for safekeeping. Judging by the conversation that ensues, the group managed to rob Broke Malone of quite a lot. This clip doesn't show what happened to Broke Malone after being jumped, but here's hoping justice was eventually served. Number 13, The Mob.
I'm getting about 30 calls about you on my phone, and I'm a gangster, so you better leave here. right now before there's trouble with yourself. You understand that? You're f***ing with the mob over here.
As it turns out, in LA, Ice Poseidon has to watch his back for gangsters as a man claiming to be in the mob threatens him. In this clip, Poseidon was sitting at an Italian restaurant called Cafe Verona when the older man approached him, leaned over, and whispered in his ear that he'd gotten about 30 calls about Poseidon on his phone and he'd better hit the road. The man goes on to say that he's a gangster and that Poseidon is screwing with the mob. You better leave now, the man says. The sooner you leave, the better. Poseidon apologizes, packs his stuff up and leaves. He says he doesn't want to get shot. While this may have scared most to their wits, Ice Poseidon doesn't seem too fazed and goes on with his streaming. At least we know this encounter didn't leave him swimming with the fishes. Number 12, Subway Sniper.
Gotta go pretty soon here, I think. Pretty soon. Maybe even the next stop.
CJ Ride is live streaming on the subway in Asia when some man creeps up behind him to take his photo. The man is standing to the left of CJ Ride in the beginning of the video, about 5 feet away, with a surgical mask on. The man just appears to be on his phone, but obviously he's actually finding his camera so he can take some video or photos of his own. CJ Ride is chill about it at first, even posing for a moment, but then as the man creeps closer and closer without saying a word, CJ Ride clearly gets more uncomfortable and stands to get off the train at the next stop. This is when the guy walks straight up to him, maybe a foot away, with his camera right beside the streamer's face. Finally satisfied, the man then walks away as CJ Ride changes position on the subway, getting as far away from this man as possible. If you're going to live stream, expect to encounter people like this. Comes with the territory, it seems. Number 11, the Creepy Trickster.
Well, I mean, surely you do. If you're trying to get me by myself, you could just rob me.
No.
I have like 100 pounds on me.
No, I've got nothing. I don't need to rob you, bro.
But how do I know that? I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't know you.
Paul Danino, otherwise known as Ice Poseidon, is an online personality and vlogger. Needless to say, he has quite a following, and sometimes having a following can get you into real trouble. In this case, Ice Poseidon encounters a homeless British man on the streets of London at night. The man calls him over and attempts to get him alone. Drink in hand, he tries to lure Ice Poseidon away from his friend by telling him to come over here for 2 seconds, insisting he only wants to tell Poseidon something, and for some reason, he doesn't want to tell it in front of the other guy. All very strange and creepy. Ice Poseidon agrees to accompany the Brit alone and is asked if he's doing a program for the university. The man then suggests to meet the next morning if Ice Poseidon wants to see how he lives. Since Ice Poseidon doesn't want to get up early, the man offers to meet him that same night at Cafe Nero in Oxford Circus. Ice Poseidon says he can head there with him right then, but that his friend is coming along when the creepy man rejects the idea and says that he's taken another American there, someone he claims did a video shoot of him. Ice Poseidon asks how he can know the man isn't lying. The conversation goes back and forth, with Ice Poseidon questioning the man's motives, and the man insisting he is honest and doesn't intend to rob him. Ice Poseidon's followers warn him repeatedly not to follow the guy, calling the whole thing sketch central, but Ice Poseidon ignores them and continues to engage him. He says he would like to see where the other guy sleeps, but he'll be taking his friend with him. But for some reason, the creepy man won't allow this friend to accompany, calling him another homeless guy, and saying he would never let a homeless guy know where he sleeps. Again, despite repeated warnings, Ice Poseidon decides to join the creepy guy anyway, because he's genuinely curious. He talks to his friend and asks him to trail them. The creepy man orders a cab, and as they wait, he tells Ice Poseidon he was a sniper in the army in Desert Storm and Afghanistan. Many of Ice Poseidon's followers hop on to say that the guy is a well-known trickster in London and a psycho that robs people. They also note that the man said he was in the army for 10 years, but then gave active duty dates that were 12 years apart. When the taxi finally arrives, Ice Poseidon again insists that his friend will be joining them, and the creepy man says that wasn't the agreement. The man finally leaves when Poseidon won't ditch his friend to follow him to an unfamiliar location. This could have ended quite nasty, so it's lucky that Ice Poseidon had a level enough head on his shoulders to avoid getting into any real danger here. Number 10, Creepy Guy.
Yeah.
Alright. What's one thing that you...
Huh?
What's one thing you can come with me?
Come with you where?
Alright, here.
There's a lot of attempted lurings going on in these videos. In this one, the live streamer is a 17-year-old girl who seems to be trying to shake some creepy dude at the beginning of the video. "I'm gonna go this way," she says, looking nervously into the camera, but he calls her and asks her name. The creep drunkenly asks her to come with him. When she asks where, he says right here, pointing down into a scary basement apartment. But again, she tries to shake him and succeeds. Probably a good idea. That place looked very shady. Number 9, the boiling point.
7:30. Why'd you
We weren't gonna go.
And why'd you have your door locked till 6 o'clock? And didn't take the bank to get me my own essay? Why was your door locked when you said I could wake you up? You didn't think I was gonna bring that? I'm gonna keep it to
When Asian Andy and Hampton Brandon butt heads, it's a thing you don't want to miss. Viewers are thrown into the middle of some dispute between the pair. Hampton Brandon confronts Andy, saying he's doing so because he wants some people to think he's decent and not a wildebeest. Thereafter, Hampton Brandon accuses Andy of something. It's not really clear what, and when Andy calls him a liar, he gets angry. At first, Hampton Brandon seems like he's going to let it go, as he says, "I'll see you in Hollywood," but then he continues shouting, getting louder and louder and more heated. He gets up in Andy's face and butts heads with him. That's when Andy snaps. Everyone starts pushing and shoving. The camera falls to the ground. Brandon continues shouting. When things finally calm down, Andy repeats, "Get off my property." Even out in the street, getting into his car, Brandon is screaming threats. At least things didn't go too far this time around. Number 8, Teenage Mob.
Leave me alone, please. Leave me alone. They can only see my face, I promise.
Greek God X, a popular Twitch live streamer, fears for his life in this clip as a mob of teenagers tail him. "Don't hurt me," he shouts, as they're seen behind him, making a lot of noise and chatter. The streamer tells himself to close his eyes and it will be over soon. He then says they're ganging up and starts running. He's pretty quick on his feet. Some of the gang catch up with him and demand to know what he's recording. He claims he's sending a message to his mom, but the young teenage girl calls his bluff, saying that's on live on Facebook. He appears to be nearly crying as he tells the teenagers to leave him alone. In the background, you can hear women shouting at him, although it's unclear what they're accusing him of. But when Greek God says, "They can only see my face, I promise," you can probably guess at what these teens are so angry about. At one point, the camera is angled a little above Greek God's shoulder, and you can see that there are at least 3 on his tail, chasing him. "Please don't hurt me," he says. "They can't see you." One woman asks him to remove it, but being a live stream, there's no way he can, but he says he will, probably to get this mob off his back. Some people don't want to be filmed without consent, which is something that IRL live streamers must consider. Number 7, Snort Money.
What? I need $5 for what? For food? No. For what then, bro?
When a streamer called Glink is flagged, it's a certitude that something shady is about to go down. It's clear as day that the guy is on something. But when the pair talk, it's difficult to understand anything this man is saying. Glink is pretty kind to the guy. He asks if the man is hungry and says he'll bring him some food, but the guy doesn't want food. He wants $5 to snort. Glink says he doesn't want to support that and manages to get away without any further confrontation. You never know what might happen when engaging with strangers, so maybe it's better to be safe than sorry. Number 6, 6 on 1.
I want to hear
Get
your
in your
raps.
Uber. Get in your Uber.
Come on.
Get in your Uber.
I like your rap. I want to hear a rap because she has some.
Yo, leave me alone! Leave me alone! Yo! Hey! Help me!
Burger Planet streamed this incident live on August 2nd, 2017, after he'd just been attacked by 6 people on the street at night. In the video, he appears fearful and shaken. As he tries to recover himself after the incident, he says into the camera that he got hit in the face and the head many times, and they tried to throw his phone and break it, but the phone never stopped recording. The reason for it, they just didn't like this guy recording. No questions asked. No reason why, Burger Planet said. He added, "My head feels like a lumped up potato." Burger Planet also claims the bar whose parking lot he got beat up in would barely even give him a bottle of water and told him he had to leave. It seems that in the live streaming IRL moments, incidents like this can greet you at any corner, and a pile-on like 6 bruisers on one victim can send you to the emergency room, or worse. I guess the lesson here is to play it safe and always have a backup. Number 5, bomb threat.
Dallas Police, if anybody's inside, show your hands. Dallas Police, if anyone's inside, show your hands.
There's somebody that's in here right now got my apartment number somehow and had you come to my door. This is why you guys are here, is because of this.
When Mahova broke into some wine, she wasn't expecting any guests at her party, but some came uninvited. After looking outside and assumably seeing police right outside her apartment, she tells her viewers that she has no idea what's going on. A moment later, there's a loud knock on her door, Dallas PD. She answers the door and is immediately and repeatedly told to show her hands. Mahova quickly suggests to the police that someone must have swatted her, but the police continue the raid, entering the house to ensure that she's the only one there. They search the entire apartment. She then explains that she just had a delivery, and a viewer watching her stream must have somehow gotten her address off the package and sent the cops to swat her. After the police leave, she shows their cars lined up outside, along with a fire truck. Well, in the end, this wasn't life-threatening. Swatting has ended in innocent lives being taken, as it did when Tyler Barris allegedly made a hoax 911 call, which ended horribly in Kansas. He did it because of a dispute he had over online gaming. Truly both a sad and scary incident. Number 4, man being followed.
I'm running.
Tokyo, a city of 9.3 million people, and one of those people is stalking you. Imagine walking through a foreign city at night, alone in the dark. You suddenly get the feeling that someone is following you. The street is deserted. Without looking behind you, you hear their footsteps. You see movements in the shadows. You speed your steps. Those of your stalkers speed up too. You don't want to turn around, cause then they'll know your fear, but you have to know what's in store for you. So you turn, and you see this man, donning a white surgical mask, clearly coming after you. This is what Twitch user Rekful encountered on the streets of Tokyo. In the video, Rekful starts out walking nonchalantly down the pavement on a Tokyo evening, live streaming his nighttime stroll. Then, after he waits at a street corner for a moment, things start to become interesting. A man dressed in black, with a baseball cap and sunglasses on at night, doesn't cross the street, but instead turns to follow Rekful. And don't forget the stalker's main feature, a surgical mask. As the clip continues, the man is seen over Reckful's right shoulder, keeping a short distance from him and appearing as though he's just on his own nighttime stroll, one that happens to be the exact same route as the streamers. At one point, however, Reckful turns a complete 180 to walk in the other direction, and the man walks on, which gives the streamer a false sense of relief because only moments later, the stalker turns a 182. Those following Reckful Live advise him to run or fight. Others write RIP and note that the stalker is speeding up. After Reckful makes another turn, out of sight briefly from his stalker, he takes his followers' advice. He starts running. He puts a good distance between himself and his stalker, sprinting across the street, but then he realizes that the stalker knows him. Both the stalker and his partner, known as the 5,500 Miles guys, finally catch up to him and introduce themselves. They're in Tokyo all the way from Sweden. If it hadn't been a prank, imagine just how more intense this IRL moment might have been. Number 3. Angry Old Man.
Why are you touching my camera, man? What's wrong with you?
Why are you pointing your camera at
I'm pointing at myself. Hey, get your hands off me. I'll knock you the out.
An IRL streamer called Rage Stew was not prepared for a brawl in this video, but one came to meet him by way of an unlikely contender, an old man. After taking a gentle stroll with a female pedestrian, he arrives at a corner to meet an older man in a neon green shirt and khakis, having a sip from his big gulp. Rage Stew quite openly asks the guy how's it going and mentions that he's live streaming, when suddenly the video goes sideways. The man is clearly knocked or pushed the video camera wonky, and you can hear him saying he doesn't want to be live streamed. So what does Rage Stew do? Does he walk away? No. He tells the old man not to touch his camera, and that's when things escalate. The man insists that Rage Stew not point the camera at him, so the streamer turns away to ensure the man is out of view. However, the argument with the man continues off screen. A back and forth ensues about whether Rage Stew was in the right to record the man without consent, and whether the man was in the right to knock the camera away and put his hands on Rage Stew immediately. Well, the old man brawl did not end in anything serious. The aggression was frightening and certainly could have intensified. A cautionary tale for fellow streamers. Number 2. Robbed again. When Tribait is live streaming out in broad daylight, the last thing he's probably expecting is to get robbed, but after he had some sort of altercation about bad vibes with a stranger on a street corner, things get a little heated. Tribait keeps saying the guy is going to pop him and that he almost got his life taken. He tries to hurry away from the man, who seems to be following him. Although the viewer doesn't see it, Tribait claims the man pulled out a gun. After a while, it seems as though Tribait has lost the guy. A good 2 minutes go by without any sight of him, but then he pops out of nowhere behind Tribait, launches at him, takes his phone and races off. Tribait tries to chase the thief down, but after a while, it's clear that he gave up at some point. What's unclear is whether or not the thief got away with it. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. I'm currently doing a super poll on my Instagram. If you believe ghosts are real, then go to my most recent photo and tap the like button. If you don't, DM me saying why. When you're done, come right back to this video to find out the number 1 entry. Also, follow me on Twitter at YTChills because that's where I post video updates. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person. So if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. Number 1. Swatted.
On Twitch TV.
I'll just have a quick look around.
Go take a look, do anything, yeah.
They did say that you killed all your family.
Yeah.
Gross Gore was live streaming himself playing League of Legends, when suddenly gaming wasn't much of a game anymore. there's a knock at the door, and when he's answered, he's met with police. He's being swatted. The British police are rather calm in this swatting, as he explains that he live streams for a living and that his address got leaked. All the while he's talking to police, he continues playing League of Legends. He says he's been receiving loads of takeaway deliveries and taxis from folks who want to prank him. Well, this prank went more than a little overboard. The post on his YouTube video notes, I had a bunch of police officers walk into my flat during my live stream because they had a phone call saying Ali Larson killed his whole family. A joke's gone past a joke now, guys. He also noted that it's unregrettable that some people find wasting police officers' time to be funny. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!